Deep in the jungles of Papua lives a tribe untouched by modern civilization. They don't live on the ground, they live in the trees, nearly 40 meters above. Their homes sway with the wind, and their traditions go back thousands of years. This is one of the most unbelievable human cultures still existing today. Join us and let's discover what life is like for each of these people. Curious? Let's go! This is the world of the Korowai, a tribe that turned the most hostile rainforest on Earth into their fortress in the sky. For centuries, nobody outside New Guinea had any idea these people existed. While civilization expanded across continents, the Korowai remained hidden in one of the planet's most impenetrable regions. No roads, no cities, no contact. It wasn't until the 1970s that missionaries and explorers stumbled upon their villages and discovered something extraordinary, a society that had solved the problem of survival by going straight up. Most cultures throughout history built their homes on solid ground. It makes sense. It's easier, it's safer. But the Korowai looked at their environment and made a different calculation. The forest floor in Papua is a nightmare. Flooding rivers, venomous snakes, wild boars, crocodiles lurking near water sources, and that's not even counting the constant threat from rival groups. So they built upward, creating wooden platforms supported by massive tree trunks that tower over 50 feet high. Some reports describe structures reaching 115 feet, with rare examples pushing toward 160 feet. These aren't flimsy shelters. They're architectural achievements that require incredible engineering knowledge passed down through generations. The Korowais select specific trees, usually massive fig trees with thick trunks that can support enormous weight. They lash together smaller logs to form the foundation, layer bamboo and sago palm leaves to create floors, weave walls from forest fibers, and construct steep roofs designed to shed Papua's relentless rainfall. The result is a structure that when a family decides to build a new house, the entire clan gets involved. Men climb the chosen tree, sometimes spending days clearing branches and preparing the trunk. Women gather materials from the forest floor. Children help by transporting lighter materials up the initial scaffolding. The tree selected has to meet specific criteria: strong enough to support tons of weight, positioned correctly to catch morning sunlight but avoid afternoon storms, close enough to other trees for eventual expansion but far enough to prevent fire from spreading between houses. The binding technique they use is genius. No nails, no screws, just forest vines and rattan that, when woven correctly, create connections stronger than most modern rope. These bindings can support entire families for decades without failing. The Korowai have mastered the exact tension required, the specific knots needed, and the precise points where weight distribution matters most. The territory they inhabit is brutal. Papua's rainforest is dense, suffocatingly humid, and crisscrossed by rivers that wind between trees soaring over 160 feet tall. The heat alone would overwhelm most outsiders. But the Korowai don't just survive here, they thrive. The forest isn't merely their dwelling, it's their entire economy. Fruits grow wild. Fibers for rope and construction hang from branches. Massive trunks become building materials. Wood forms bridges between trees. The rivers provide fresh water and fish, though they also bring flooding and predators. Cut off by nature itself, the Korowai turned this hostile environment. I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go! Keep the voice steady and informative, with light emphasis on important facts. Use smooth pacing and make it feel like an expert guiding a tour of knowledge. Women head out to gather fruits, roots, and medicinal plants. The most important resource they collect is sago, a starch extracted from palm trees that forms the backbone of the Korowai diet. Preparing sago is exhausting work. You have to fell the trunk, scrape out the pulp, wash it repeatedly until a dough forms, then cook it on hot stones or wrap it in leaves. A single sago palm can provide enough starch to feed a family for weeks, but extracting it requires hours of backbreaking labor. Women often work in groups, rotating tasks to maintain efficiency. The flavor is bland, but sago provides the calories needed to power life in this demanding environment. It's basically pure carbohydrate, which in a forest where you're constantly climbing, hunting, and gathering becomes liquid energy. Meanwhile, men grab their bows and arrows and move silently through the forest hunting. Wild pigs, birds, tree kangaroos, which are unique to this region and can weigh up to 30 pounds. Hunting can take hours or even days. The Korowai don't just randomly walk around hoping to find game. They know the forest intimately. They recognize tracks that are days old. They can identify which fruits specific animals prefer and where those trees are located. They understand animal behavior patterns better than most wildlife biologists. When someone finally brings down a wild boar, the entire community celebrates because that means abundant food for everyone. Insects and larvae, especially sago grubs, are considered delicacies rich in fat and protein. These grubs can grow to the size of a human finger and contain more protein per gram than beef. They're eaten roasted or raw and frequently appear at ceremonial feasts. The taste is described as nutty and creamy, with a texture similar to soft cheese. For the Korowai, passing up this protein source would be insane. For outsiders, the idea of eating them triggers disgust. But disgust is cultural, not universal. Fish caught in nearby rivers using bamboo traps or simple nets round out the protein sources. The trap design is brilliant. Woven bamboo creates a funnel that fish can enter but can't exit. These traps are positioned in river currents where fish naturally swim, essentially creating passive hunting that works 24 hours a day. A single trap can catch dozens of fish overnight. Nothing goes to waste. Bones become tools. Fish bones are carved into needles for weaving. Pig bones become arrow tips. Skins get repurposed into carrying pouches. Fibers are woven into hunting equipment. Even intestines are cleaned and used as waterproof containers. This zero-waste lifestyle isn't about environmentalism. It's about survival. When the nearest hardware store is 50 miles of impenetrable jungle away, you learn to use everything. Back up in the tree houses, life continues in relative safety. The interior space is divided into zones. They develop spatial awareness and balance that seems superhuman to outsiders. A Korowai child casually walking along a 6-inch-wide log bridge 80 feet up would make a trained acrobat nervous. At night, when the forest comes alive with sounds from nocturnal animals, the Korowai retreat to their elevated refuges. From above, they watch the darkness and rest, knowing they're protected from whatever prowls below. The night sounds are intense. Insects create a constant hum. Birds call across the canopy. Occasionally, the roar of a predator echoes through the trees. But up in their houses, the Korowai are spectators, not participants. This separation from the ground isn't just practical, it's psychological. It creates a clear boundary between their safe space and the dangerous world beneath. The house becomes a sanctuary, a place where the constant vigilance required for forest survival can temporarily relax. Community cooperation is essential. Each family has its own house, but larger tasks require collective effort. Building a new treehouse can take weeks and involves dozens of people. Men handle the heavy construction. Women prepare food for the workers. Elders provide guidance on technique. Children run messages between groups. This collective approach means that construction knowledge doesn't rest with one person. Everyone understands the basics. If the best builder dies, the community doesn't lose the ability to build. Preparing massive quantities of sawdust.
Keep the voice steady and informative, with light emphasis on important facts. Use smooth pacing and make it feel like an expert guiding a tour of knowledge. This cooperation ensures that even in such a challenging environment, nobody gets left behind. The tribe functions as a single organism, where individual survival depends on collective success. Rugged individualism doesn't work in the rainforest. Connection does. Time isn't measured by clocks or calendars. The rhythm of the forest dictates everything. Sunrise means work begins. Nightfall means rest. Seasons are marked by which fruits are ripening, which animals are migrating, when rivers flood. Life flows in harmony with natural cycles that have remained unchanged for generations. There's no concept of being late or early. Things happen when they need to happen. Marriage among the Korowai is a strategic alliance, not just a romantic union. Marriages are typically arranged and involve exchanges that might include food, tools, and promises of support during future hunts. This creates networks of obligation and cooperation that strengthen the entire tribe. A marriage isn't between two people, it's between two families who are now bound to help each other survive. Some men have multiple wives, particularly if they can provide for a large family or if alliances between families make polygyny strategically valuable. This isn't an absolute rule, but it's an accepted practice that serves social and economic functions. A skilled hunter with multiple wives can support more children, process more sago, and maintain a larger household that contributes more to the community. Status among the Korowai isn't measured by material possessions. It's measured by the ability to provide and the strength of your family connections. For the Korowai, the forest is sacred territory. Every tree, river, and mountain carries spiritual meaning. They believe spirits inhabit the jungle, influencing hunting success, harvest yields, and community health. These aren't abstract concepts. The spirits are real entities that can help or harm depending on how they're treated. Ancestors remain present in the forest.
Keep the voice steady and informative, with light emphasis on important facts. Use smooth pacing and make it feel like an expert guiding a tour of knowledge. Before beginning a hunt or constructing a new house, small rituals are performed to ask for protection and favorable energy. A hunter might leave a small offering at the base of a tree. A builder might speak words of respect to the tree being used for construction. These rituals take minutes, but are considered essential. Skipping them invites disaster. Celebrations are directly tied to survival. A successful wild boar hunt triggers a major feast. The meat gets distributed according to strict social rules. The hunter who made the kill gets the prime cuts, but must share. Elders receive portions first as a sign of respect. Families with young children get extra. The entire community gathers around fires. Forest sounds mix with voices and chants. Ritual dances strengthen bonds between everyone. These dances aren't entertainment. They're history lessons, moral instruction, and spiritual practice combined. Through specific movements and songs, stories get passed down. Young people learn which plants are medicinal. They learn which animals are sacred. They learn the consequences of breaking tribal rules. All of this encoded in dance and song that's been performed the same way for generations. Sago grubs are roasted in large quantities during these feasts. When properly prepared over hot coals, they become crispy on the outside and creamy inside. The fat renders out, creating a natural sauce. For the Korowai, this is premium food that only
The rituals symbolize strength,
courage, and commitment to preserving ancestral ways. A boy who completes initiation isn't just older, he's transformed. He's now someone the tribe can depend on, someone who carries responsibility, someone who will eventually pass the same knowledge to the next generation. In their oral traditions passed down through generations, elements of fear and protection appear prominently. Stories tell of creatures that hunt humans, of spirits that punish those who break taboos, of ancestors who intervened to save the tribe during disasters. For a long time, it was believed that malevolent forces roamed near villages, especially at night. Building houses high in the trees became both a symbolic and practical defense against whatever might come from the ground: animals, enemies, or unwanted spirits. Without written language, Korowai history is preserved through the voices of elders. They safeguard memories and pass them to children through stories, myths, and teachings. Nights around the fire become classrooms where wisdom is carefully transmitted so nothing gets lost. Each story contains layers of meaning. On the surface, it's entertainment. Underneath, it's teaching ecological knowledge, social rules, spiritual beliefs, and historical events, all at once. Each story contains lessons about the forest: which plants cure which ailments, which areas flood during certain seasons, which animal behaviors predict weather changes, dangers to avoid, and the critical importance of community unity. This oral education is incredibly effective. Korowai children can identify hundreds of plant and animal species by name, understand complex ecological relationships, and navigate trackless forest with confidence, all without ever seeing a book or classroom. For a long time, the Korowai name was surrounded by mystery and fear. Reports from anthropologists and explorers claimed the tribe practiced cannibalism. To outsiders, this seemed like proof of savagery. But within Korowai culture, the act carried very different meaning. It was tied to spiritual beliefs and dealing with people accused of witchcraft, known as kakua. The kakua belief system held that certain individuals were possessed by demons that ate people from the inside, slowly consuming their life force. When someone died from mysterious illness, the Korowai would attempt to identify the kakua responsible. When someone was identified as a malevolent sorcerer responsible for illness or death in the village, they could be executed and consumed in a ritual. This practice held profound symbolic weight. Eating the body was believed to destroy the demon completely and protect the community from future attacks. It wasn't murder from the Korowai perspective, it was defense. It was protecting your family from an existential threat. The process of identifying a kakua involved complex social dynamics. Dreams, coincidences, and social tensions all played roles. In some cases, accusations fell on people who were already outsiders or troublemakers. The kakua system, whatever its spiritual justification, also functioned as a form of social control that maintained order within the tribe. Today, with increasing contact with the modern world, such practices have virtually disappeared. Indonesian authorities and missionary influence have made it clear that kakua killings are considered murder under national law. Many Korowai who still live in tree houses deny ever participating in these rituals, claiming they were exaggerated. The first documented contact happened when Dutch missionaries ventured deep into the interior looking for unreached tribes. What they found astonished them. People living in ways that seemed unchanged for millennia. Technology limited to stone tools, no metal, no writing, no awareness of the world beyond the forest. Until then, the Korowai lived in complete isolation, untouched by outside technology, politics, or religion. They had no idea that nations existed, that airplanes flew overhead, that millions of people lived in cities far away. Their entire world was the forest and the neighboring tribes they occasionally traded or fought with. That contact forever changed the course of their community. Suddenly, cameras, clothing, metal tools, and the concept of money appeared in a world where none of it had existed. The first time Korowai people saw a metal axe, it must have seemed like magic. Tools that never dulled, cutting power beyond anything stone could achieve. A task that took days could now be completed in hours. For many Korowai, it all seemed magical but also frightening. These outsiders arrived from nowhere, speaking incomprehensible languages, carrying impossible technology. Some Korowai thought the missionaries were ghosts or spirits. Others thought they were diseased because their skin was so. These communities maintain minimal contact with outsiders and continue practicing the skills their ancestors developed over centuries. Tourism played a major role in accelerating change. The idea of visiting a tribe that lives in trees sparked worldwide curiosity. Documentaries, travel articles, and adventure tourism companies all promoted the Korowai as a lost world, a glimpse into humanity's past. People paid thousands of dollars for guided treks into Korowai territory. In some villages, tree houses were rebuilt artificially just to host outsiders. Traditional houses are lived in until they decay, then abandoned for new construction. But for tourists, fresh houses were built in accessible locations and maintained specifically for visits. Dances and rituals were performed as staged attractions rather than authentic practices. Korowai people dressed in traditional garb for photos, then changed into modern clothes when visitors left. While tourism brought money and new opportunities, it also threatened the authenticity of Korowai culture. Some traditions became spectacles rather than lived realities. This creates a strange paradox where the very thing that makes the Korowai unique gets commodified and transformed into entertainment for outsiders who will never truly understand what they're witnessing. The money from tourism created inequality within the tribe. Families living near trekking routes earned significant income. Families deeper in the forest earned nothing. This economic disparity introduced concepts of wealth and class that didn't previously exist in a society where sharing was mandatory. Beyond cultural pressure, environmental challenges loom large. Papua's rainforest faces deforestation and resource exploitation, directly threatening communities who depend on it. Logging companies want the massive trees. Mining operations seek mineral deposits. Palm oil plantations expand into previously untouched forest. For the Korowai, losing the forest means losing their